This is Valley News Live at 10.
Happy Independence Day. I'm Justin Betty. Right now, fireworks are lighting up the skies across much of the region. And so far, at least, Mother Nature has been cooperating with people's celebrations. Let's take a look at our sky cam. You might even be able to see a few fireworks off in the distance, more than a few, I think, over West Fargo. First Alert Storm Team meteorologist Nathan Hopper joins us now live with your first look at the forecast. Nathan.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Yeah, not only can you see them from our sky cam, but some of these can feel shaking the floors here in the studio, especially right there in the foreground. But by and large, yes, weather is cooperating perfectly for those folks who want to maybe let their inner pyrotechnic out. Look at this. A lot of nothing going on satellite and radar. There is one little cell that I'm watching here near Candu. You can see that's pushing into Towner County, but that's really it. There was a storm that was moving through Michigan, but look at how quickly that thing really fizzled out as we head toward the Highway 15 corridor, toward Macville. Whew, gone. So things quiet for us. Temperatures also 2 thumbs up in the weather department here. We're seeing 70s for most everybody, 60s cooler up toward the northward. Clouds this afternoon kept temperatures there a bit more muted, but even in Sisseton now seeing some upper 70s. There's a look at, again, our sky cam there. Temperatures will stay fairly pleasant for the rest of this evening, and wind is light as well. That's good news. Just a little bit of enough of a breeze for some of those major fireworks shows to kind of get that smoke moving downwind. And then in Grand Forks, you can see temperatures staying in the upper 60s there for the midnight hour, with same story there. A little bit of wind at this hour. But by and large, Justin, things look good. Still tracking radar, but we've got some more rain chances for us in store for tomorrow. So, of course, we'll detail that forecast here in a few minutes.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Nathan. We also have some breaking news tonight. Fargo police are investigating a shooting at a home in South Fargo. It happened around 7 this morning at the Countryside Trailer Court. Police say the homeowner, 22-year-old Kyle Lovas, called 911 to say he just shot someone. A 24-year-old was then taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Lovas is being held on an attempted murder charge. We'll keep you posted as we learn more. Also, some new information on tonight's deadly parade shooting in Illinois. A 22-year-old suspect has now been arrested. The shooting happened during a parade in Highland Park near Chicago. Police say at least 6 people were killed, dozens injured. Police say 22-year-old Robert Cremo was pulled over and arrested this evening. Police are still officially calling him a person of interest in this shooting. Earlier this evening, police found a firearm on a roof where police believe the shooter was firing from. As for the victims tonight, hospital officials say 19 of the 25 injured gunshot victims have been treated and released. Also, some breaking news tonight out of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia police say 2 officers were shot tonight about 10 minutes into that city's fireworks display. Police say the shooter is still at large. We'll keep you posted as we learn more. New tonight in Mandan, a 6-year-old is dead after an accident during preparations for an Independence Day parade today. Mandan police say the child was riding on a trailer en route to the staging area for the parade when she fell off and was run over. The child was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead. Mandan police are still investigating that incident. Police in Northfield, Minnesota are still searching for a missing 6-year-old girl named Elle Reagan. This is a look at her here. Sheriff's deputies were called to an apartment Saturday and they found the body of the girl's 39-year-old mother, who they believe took her own life. They also believe that woman may have been involved in her daughter's disappearance. The FBI is also involved in this investigation. A Minnesota teen has died after a firework exploded in his face this morning. This happened in a park in Brooklyn Park, a suburb of the Twin Cities. Police say an 18-year-old man was holding a firework when it exploded. They say a friend tried to perform CPR. The teen was then taken to a hospital where he died from his injuries. New information tonight on a deadly shooting in Cass Lake, Minnesota. Authorities say they believe they have the man responsible for a July 2021 drive-by. Friday, officials at the Cass County, Minnesota Sheriff's Office arrested a 46-year-old man from Cass Lake. Sheriff Tom Birch says so far they are not releasing the man's name. However, a search of the detention center roster shows 46-year-old William Hedberg of Cass Lake was booked Friday for charges of second-degree murder, the drive-by shooting category. Sheriff Birch says formal charges against the suspect are pending. An update now to a story we first told you about Saturday. Officials have recovered the bodies of 3 children and a mother from Vadnas Lake in Minnesota. The search started Friday after Maplewood police said they received information of a potential murder-suicide that afternoon. Here's the latest.
Around 10:30 Friday morning, Maplewood police were called to a home on Pearson Drive for a man who died by suicide. That death investigation led police to Vadnas Sucker Lake Regional Park around 4 that afternoon. Family of the man who died told police to find the man's partner and kids.
They were concerned about her well-being and the well-being of the children. And so they began tracking her cell phone, which led them to here.
On the shores of Vadnas Lake, first responders found an abandoned vehicle and 3 pairs of children's shoes. A search above and below the lake waters started immediately. 3 hours into the search, around 7 Friday night, crews recovered the body of 1 child. Even as the sun set, the search continued. Another child's body was recovered just after midnight.
We're here till 4, sometimes 4 in the morning last night, and we're here at 6 a.m. today.
With light back on their side in the morning, rescue teams recovered the bodies of the 3rd child and the mom.
Our goal was to find the children and the mother and to return them to their families, and we're glad that we were able to do that.
This was an air and water rescue with the help of the State Patrol chopper in the skies, as well as several sonar boats on Vadnas Lake, which is a relatively shallow body of water. The commander of the search and rescue team told me that this search was especially difficult.
I've been doing this for 30 years as a cop, in water patrol for most of it, and this was one of the more difficult ones.
All 3 children are 6 years old and younger.
The names of the victims so far have not been released. The city of Akron, Ohio has issued a curfew for the downtown part of the city in the wake of protests there following the police killing of 25-year-old Jalen Walker, who was shot dozens of times after an attempted traffic stop. Social media video showed a dumpster on fire overnight, tear gas being used as protesters marched through the streets demanding what they say is justice. Police say Walker was unarmed when he was shot, though a handgun and magazine were found in his car. Body camera footage shows Walker appearing to reach for his waist area right before he was killed.
Each officer, independent of each other, related that they felt that Mr. Walker had turned and was motioning and moving into a firing position.
The 8 officers involved have been placed on administrative leave while an independent state investigation is conducted. The police union representing the officers says it believes that investigation will justify their actions. Former President Donald Trump could be on the verge of officially announcing a 2024 run for president, even as the January 6th committee investigating his and his aides' role in last year's insurrection at the Capitol continues. At their next hearing later this month, the committee plans to focus on the alleged role of far-right groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers.
Who was participating, who was financing it, how it was organized. We obviously want to probe any connection between these dangerous groups and the White House.
The connections formed between these groups and President Trump could possibly lead to his criminal referral to the Justice Department. Patriotism was on display in the nation's capital this Independence Day with crowds close to pre-pandemic levels. The White House, President Biden hosted military families for a barbecue. Natalie Brand has more on that and how else the nation is celebrating from Washington.
Parades with packed sidewalks signaled a bustling return to normal this 4th of July. In Boston, the USS Constitution fired a 21-gun salute, while some in Tampa rallied against recent Supreme Court decisions.
There's different ways you celebrate independence.
Here in Washington, families reflected on the meaning of the day, 246 years after the adoption of the Declaration of Independence.
It's nice to see people coming back together around similar values, around democracy.
My father was in the military, and he's since passed away. So for me, this is more towards like veterans and military.
It's really interesting to see all the patriotism and everything is beautiful here.
The National Independence Day Parade returned after a 2-year absence. People here are from all over. For some, it's their first big trip since the pandemic.
It's exciting to do something different and come to D.C. for the first time.
President Biden returned from his weekend at Camp David to host a 4th of July barbecue with military families at the White House.
There's nothing guaranteed about our democracy. Nothing guaranteed about our way of life. We have to fight for it.
In Twitter messages, the president praised the sacrifices of our nation's service members and said our best days lie ahead.
It's Natalie Brandt reporting. The Independence Day celebration in Washington ended with a fireworks display tonight. If you had a disappointing travel experience over the weekend, you're not alone. With Americans eager to get away from home this summer, airlines are struggling to adapt. There were thousands of flight cancellations, delays, and luggage issues over the weekend, showcasing how fragile the air travel chain is, especially after COVID.
The airlines, in many cases, did early retirements. You know, they got rid of those really expensive senior employees, and they didn't think demand was going to come back this quickly.
While airlines may be struggling with staffing post-pandemic, travel experts remind us they are multi-billion-dollar franchises. So if you've had a flight canceled, you're entitled to a cash refund under the U.S. Department of Transportation.
You get a full cash refund if your flight is delayed more than 4 hours or canceled. So do not let the airline give you a voucher. Get the cash.
This year, 2.8% of all U.S. flights have been canceled, more than 20% delayed, according to FlightAware.